And let's get started. So, how are you all doing? Welcome to At Home with Mote. Thank you so much for joining. For anyone just joining us for the first time, my name is Dana Henderson. You can call me Miss Dana. And we do monthly homeschool programs here at Mote. So I'm so happy to be able to bring you a little snippet of that virtually. So today is one of my absolute favorite subjects. That, of course, is marine mammals. It's what I did. I started out my career in research on marine mammals, so I'm so excited to share it with you all today. Now, please, interact as much as you can. I use the chat box and ask questions, answer questions. We've got Miss Elena and Miss Lauren moderating, so they'll be happy to answer any questions that I cannot see or get to. So again, I'm used to teaching with people here, so please interact. Also, we have 2 activities that we're going to be doing together. So if you got that pre-lesson activity guide and you have those supplies, then definitely do it with me. If not, no big deal. Just watch and maybe you can do it later. All right, well, let's get started. Let's get at home with marine mammals. So I'm going to share my screen with you all. All right, I had to choose, you guys, I had to choose this picture. This is Buffett, for anybody that's been out to Mote before. He's one of our resident manatees, and I actually took this picture on my very first day working at Mote. So it's very, very special to me. So I'm missing those guys right now for sure. All right, so what we're going to do during this class, guys, is we're going to kind of talk a little bit about, well, what makes a marine mammal a marine mammal? What are their characteristics? What marine mammals do we have here in the Gulf? What are some of the crazy wild adaptations that they have to be able to survive in the water, in the ocean? We're going to learn a little bit about some of their threats and, of course, ways that we can help protect them. Now, here at Mote, our main goal, of course, is conservation and sustainability of our oceans. So just by you guys watching and learning, you are helping to support that mission. So give yourself a nice pat on the back. Doing good, hopefully having a little fun too. All right, so first thing, before we figure out what is a marine mammal, we want to know what makes a mammal. Okay, so you guys start throwing out some characteristics. What makes a mammal a mammal? Yes, you guys know it. So we have some things in common with marine mammals, right? We are all mammals. So these are some of the main characteristics. Now you guys know you can never say never or always in science. There's always exceptions to these rules. But they have a backbone, so that everybody take your hand. Feel those bumps along your back. Did everybody bring your bumps and your backbone with you today? So just like the turtles we talked about last week, mammals also have backbones. Now they have fur or hair at some point in their life. How many of you have ever seen a hairy dolphin? We're going to talk about that. They are warm-blooded, but really what that means is they are endothermic. Okay, so does anybody remember from last week? So this is the opposite of the reptiles that are ectothermic. Does anybody remember what endothermic means? Oh yeah, great job. It means internal heat. Okay, so endo means internal, thermic means heat, and so that means we regulate our body temperature and our heat on the inside. Okay, now we as humans, we have special adaptations, right? I'm doing it right now. I'm sweating to stay cool. You shiver to stay warm. So we're going to have to learn a little bit about what does a marine mammal do to maintain their body temperature. And of course, you guys know, everyone take a nice big deep breath. You know how I love to do this in each class. Ah, yes. So we breathe air. We breathe air with lungs. And mammals give live birth and they nurse their young with mammary glands. So that is what makes a mammal a mammal. So what makes a marine mammal? Think about it, guys. They have all these same characteristics as a mammal, but they do what? Dun, da, 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 live in the ocean, right? Of course. So a marine mammal, so marine typically means something, not only is it a branch of the military, but it's something that lives in salt water or is typically found in salt water. So marine mammals are mammals that live most or all of their life in salt water. Okay, so there are different percentages, but most scientists say 80% of their life is going to be in the water. And they are all federally protected by the 1972 Marine Mammal Protection Act. So that means any marine mammal that we are talking about, any marine mammal at all, you cannot feed, touch, harass, kill, take home as a pet, anything like that, okay? So they are all protected. Now I'm gonna be showing you all a lot of cool stuff today, different pieces of different what we call biofacts, which are like an artifact of something that was living. So I'll be showing you different biofacts, but here at Mote, we actually do have all of our federal permits to even have these. So not only are alive animals protected, but once they pass away, they are protected as well. So everything that you guys are gonna see here, Mote has special permits for. All right, so marine mammals, let's keep on going. So you can see this is a taxonomy chart, okay? So depending on how old you guys are, you may have gotten into a little bit of taxonomy. Once you go to college, if you are in a science field, you'll be all in taxonomy. So this is just how we classify groups of animals, right? So last week, the taxonomy of our turtles, they were in the class Reptilia, okay? So if you look at this guy, all of our marine mammals are just like us in the class Mammalia, okay? So we have a backbone, we are animals, and then we are in a different order. Does anyone know what order we're in as humans? We are primates. We are primates. We are in the primate order, but not our whales, dolphins, manatees, porpoises, okay? These guys all have separate orders. Now, the cool thing about marine mammals is they're kind of similar in a way to classifying the way we did plankton. So anyone that was in my plankton class, that very first class that we did online, we talked about how plankton is really named and defined based on where it lives and its ecological niche or role. Well, marine mammals are kind of the same thing because they're all not technically related. Okay, so for example, our three orders here that we're going to chat about today are carnivora, our polar bears, sea otters, and our seals and sea lions. Sirenia are manatees, cetacea are whales, dolphin, and porpoises. Okay, so a manatee is actually more closely related to an elephant than it is a dolphin. So it's kind of weird. So again, that marine mammal just means that they are a mammal that lives in that salt water. All right, well, let's chat a little bit about those, where we can find marine mammals. So I really want to concentrate today on the mammals that we can actually find here in the Gulf and the ones that we do research on at Mote Marine Lab, okay? So if you take a look at this map of the world, you will kind of see, so our polar bears, they're only going to be found in the Arctic, okay? Pop quiz, our polar bears and penguins found in the same spot? They're not, no, penguins are in Antarctica and polar bears are in the Arctic. So if you look here, you'll see this is my little circle around the Gulf of Mexico. And is there anything you notice we don't have that some of the rest of the world has? Yeah, we don't have any of the, we don't have any carnivores. Okay, now that doesn't mean we don't have predators, but we don't have any animals in the order carnivora in the Gulf, okay? So if you look, we do have, we have manatees. We have the West Indian manatee, a subspecies of that, the Florida manatee. We have a few different species of dolphins. We have several different species of whales, but we don't have any polar bears, any sea otters, no seals, no sea lions, and actually no porpoises either. Now, if you check this out, you're gonna see we actually used to have a seal living in the Gulf of Mexico. So we did have one of those members of order Carnivora in the Gulf of Mexico. It was the Caribbean monk seal. And unfortunately, it was declared extinct in 2008. That was not really that long ago, you guys. So it was actually hunted to extinction. So it's important to note that extinction can still happen But we're all going to prevent that, right? You guys are going to save the world, save the ocean. So I'm not too worried about it. But so you can see today we're going to chat a little bit about these whales, dolphins, and manatees that call the Gulf home. All right. So the first one, guys, and again, we don't have these in the Gulf. We did have the Caribbean monk seal that was once declared extinct. But these are your guys, and I'm going to kind of go back and forth, sharing my screen and stopping share so I can show you a couple of cool bio facts. But you'll notice here we have our polar bears and our sea otters. Now these spend most of the time on land, or most of all the other marine mammals. They still spend 80% of their life in the water, but they do come up on land a little bit more than some of the other species. Now, the sea otter is the smallest of all of the marine mammals, and the sea otter and the polar bear, of course, are covered in fur. Now, same thing with our pinnipeds. Now, our pinnipeds are a clade, or kind of a subgroup of our carnivores, and those are your seals, your sea lions, and of course, your walruses are in that too. So I want to show you a couple cool things before we move on. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you, and again, guys, remember we have special permitting for all of these. Most of them have been, we are on loan through NOAA, National Oceanic Air and Atmosphere. So this is from a harp seal, okay? And you can see they have that really, really dense fur that helps to keep them nice and warm. Now later on, we're gonna talk about how these animals regulate their temperature, and we might go back to that seal. Now check this out. Now again, we don't have walruses in the Gulf, but this is a artifact that was donated to us. Now this is a walrus tusk. So this is a mounted walrus, the front of the skull and the tusk. And what you're seeing there is something called scrimshaw, okay? So back before marine mammals were protected, they would be hunted, and then the sailors or whoever would carve into their teeth, and that would be called scrimshaw. Luckily, that is not allowed anymore. They are protected, and we can use this as a nice talking point. It's really heavy too, you guys, weird. Okay, I'm gonna go back and share again. Okay, so guys, I'm not gonna spend too much time on carnivora, but if you are interested in this particular order, I definitely encourage you to seek out some more information and check that out, because there's a lot of cool facts about them as well. All right, so Sirenia, so named from this mythical sirens. These guys were once mistaken as mermaids. These are your manatees, your dugongs, which is found off the coast of Australia, a little bit different from a manatee. They all have those flattened tails. The dugong's tail looks a little bit more like a dolphin. It has like a forked fluke, and then the manatee has that big paddle-shaped tail. Now, there are 4 extant species. Who remembers what extant means? Yeah, not extinct, right? We tend to know the word extinct, but don't always know the word extant. So we have 4 extant species. The stellar sea cow, unfortunately, just like the Caribbean monk seal, was hunted to extinction. But look how big that thing was. It was huge. And if you guys know anything about manatees, you know they're kind of big and slow. Now, they have really dense bones compared to that of a dolphin or a whale. And on the next slide, I'll show you a little bit about our manatee, and then I'm going to show you a couple of those bones. So here in Sarasota Bay and in the Gulf, we do have the Florida manatee. Now, luckily, it was removed from the endangered species list. It is still considered threatened, okay? But that doesn't mean we need to stop protection or caring at all, right? These guys are big, they're slow, they live in shallow water. Anyone know what their biggest threat is? Yeah, boat strikes, unfortunately, because they're so big. Now, if you all look, I'm going to stop my share again. So this is a rib of a manatee. Okay, and you'll notice it's really, I wish you could hold it because it's really, really dense, and there's actually no bone marrow in there, okay? No bone marrow. So that's why they're really, really heavy. So manatees, they're not really diving down, right? They don't have to go and chase their prey. They're eating seagrass all day. So they can be big, slow, and heavy, and it's all right. Now, if you check this out, this is a rib from a dolphin, okay? So probably fairly close to the same size animal, a much, much smaller rib. And a dolphin has to be able to collapse their ribs, believe it or not, when they dive to protect their lungs, okay? So our manatees, slow, shallow, sea cows, right? They also eat up to a football field's worth of sea grass a day, which is wild. Check this out. To me, the manatee has the gnarliest skull I have ever seen. And I've seen a giraffe skull. You guys know I'm kind of obsessed with giraffes, but anyway. So the manatee, if you check this out, so this is the bottom jaw, and this is the top of the skull. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we would never ever hurt an animal in order just to get the skull. Okay, so this guy unfortunately did not make it. I'm not sure his exact story, but we said you won't die in vain. All of these things we're going to use to teach people all about you, right? So this is our manatee skull. They have prehensile lips, so they're actually able to wrap their lips around seagrass, kind of like a monkey does with his tail. Okay, and then sorry, let me close that. And to grab all that seagrass, which is kind of wild. So that's why their teeth don't really start to really far back. But if you'll notice the teeth, they're all molars, okay? So they're herbivores, and they kind of wiggle, okay? And that's because they have something called migrating, or some people call them marching molars. And when they munch on that seagrass all day, okay, they can eat up to a football field's worth of seagrass a day. They can graze up to 8 hours a day. I feel like that's been me in quarantine, just like grazing for 8 hours a day. But if you look, so they wiggle. So what happens is once they wear these teeth down because they keep eating, then these teeth actually pop out, and then these teeth in the back move forward and they push all these other teeth forward. So migrating molars. So these guys, like a shark, are what's called a polyphyodont, which means they have a never-ending supply of teeth. Pretty cool. All right, back to sharing the screen for you. Okay, so again, everybody raise your hand if you have, well, I can't see you, so never mind. How many of you seen a manatee out in the wild? I never saw a manatee until I moved down here. It's been almost 10 years ago now, but it was just so cool to see one. So to me, they look like ginormous baked potatoes floating in the water, or their snouts look like coconuts, okay? So the next time you all are able to get out on the water, okay, if you see during those summer months, that coconut shaped snout, that could be a manatee, okay? Now in the winter months, they do migrate to warmer waters. They go inland, and we'll learn about why they have to do that here in a little bit. Okay, so this is Hugh and Buffett. So hopefully all of you have had a chance to come meet our boys, Hugh and Buffett. Now, Hugh and Buffett were born at the Miami Seaquarium, so they've actually never been out in the wild. And so I don't know if they'd be able to survive out there or not, but we do a lot of research with Hugh and Buffett using only positive reinforcement, and using these two guys. They're actually the only trained manatees in the world that are participating in sensory biology, which is amazing, okay? So because of Hugh and Buffett, we've been able to learn that they have pretty good hearing. They can't always hear directly behind them. We've learned that they have poor eyesight. We've learned that they have amazing cognitive abilities, okay, similar to dolphins. And they're just super cute, right? They are trained. I don't know if any of you saw, last year they will predict the Super Bowl. winners. I mean, they're so much fun. So I'm not going to do it just for the sake of time now, but I do encourage you all to go to mote.org. We have a manatee cam in their tank. I just looked at it before I started our webinar, and all you can see is water. So I'm not going to pull it up now because it'd be kind of boring. You might see some poo floating in there. I don't know. That might be exciting, but definitely go in there and check out the manatee cam and see what Hugh and Buffett are up to lately, because they're super cute. All right, so moving right along from manatees. Okay, so the other marine mammals that we have here in the Gulf are the cetaceans. Okay, so this is the order Cetacea. Now these are whales, dolphins, and porpoises. Okay, now we do not have porpoises here in the Gulf. Okay, porpoises are considered toothed whales. So if you look at my column on the right, okay, suborder Odontocete. Okay, dont means teeth. These are our toothed whales, okay? These guys are your killer whales, your narwhals, your beaked whales. They have one blowhole, which you don't really think about an animal having two blowholes, but when we get to mysticetes, I'll tell you a little bit about that. But they have a variety of teeth, so they don't all have a set number of teeth, but they're the predators, right? So they're the ones that are hunting, okay? Now, the mysticetes are the baleen whales. I'm sure you guys have heard the word baleen before. Now, these guys, it says two blowholes, but their blowholes kind of come together to form the shape of a heart, okay? And as scientists out in the field, you can actually identify what type of whale it is based on their blow, okay? So their blow is when they're exhaling. Remember, they're mammals like us, so they're breathing air, okay? So when they exhale, they blow all that air out, okay? Pardon me. Every now and then there may be some water on the top of that blowhole that gets blown out. But if you ever see a cartoon or something that has water coming out of the blowhole, not true, okay? Now, these baleen whales are filter feeders, okay? These are your great whales. These are your blue whales, your humpback whales. These are your big guys, right? So I'm going to stop my share because I want to show you a couple things. So this is the tooth of a sperm whale. So a sperm whale is an odontocete or a toothed whale, okay? And we'll talk a little bit more about sperm whales in a little bit, but you can see, right, that thing could do some damage, okay? That is a big tooth. Now this, guys, please, I'm going to try my best not to poke my eyes out here because, so this, boys and girls, is a baleen, oh hey Richard, is a baleen plate, okay? Now this baleen plate, it's so big, it's going to be hard for me to show you. So what happens, guys, this is from a bowhead whale, which is a whale that lives in the Arctic, okay? Really, really cool. It's related to the right whale that lives off the Atlantic coast. And this is just one place. So this thing hangs down from the roof of the mouth, okay, of the bowhead whale or of the baleen whale. And as they're going through the water, basically all the little creatures, all the little krill, all the little fish, depending on what it is they're looking for, will get stuck to this. And then they'll basically just take their tongue and lick it off, okay? Now, when we talk about adaptations, we're gonna talk about some of the differences in our baleen whales in just a second. So pretty cool. All right, share again. Finally kind of getting the hang of Zoom, you guys. All right, this picture right here is a gray whale. Now we don't have gray whales here in the Gulf. You can find those off the coast of California. And this, of course, is an orca or Canis orca, or the killer whale, that every now and then you can actually find in the Gulf, which is really neat. And our most common one, well, really the only one that you're going to see in, the only cetacean that you're going to see in Sarasota Bay is the Atlantic bottlenose dolphin, Tursiops truncatus. Now, scientists never say bottlenose dolphin. They always say Tursiops. So you guys know what I'm going to make you do. Let's all say it. Tursiops. Let's all sing it. Tursiops. Let's say it. I need to come up with some new ways to say things. You guys, like maybe like a monster, Tursiops. Oh, that was super cheesy. Sorry, guys. So Tursiops truncatus, okay? So these guys live in Sarasota Bay. We actually have the longest running study of bottlenose dolphins, of a wild population of bottlenose dolphins in the world, okay? With the Sarasota Dolphin Research Program, which is really incredible. We know 5 generations of the dolphins out in Sarasota Bay, okay? Any guesses how we can tell the dolphins apart? Yeah, through photo identification of the fin. So that top fin, that dorsal fin, if you guys all look at your fingerprint, look really, really closely. If you're with your family, look at their fingerprints. All your fingerprints are different, okay? Same thing with the dolphin dorsal fin. That's how they can tell. And it is amazing. Those scientists will be out on a boat. They'll see a dolphin from like 50 yards away and they'll say, oh, that's so-and-so. That's Ginger. That's who this particular dolphin is in this picture. That's Ginger. And they'll know. It's really, really incredible. So Ginger is a resident, and right now she actually has a couple of grand calves. So she has a nice strong lineage out there, and she's still alive and thriving. She was actually entangled by fishing line, brought into our hospital, fixed up, cleaned up, back out in the wild, and was just spotted last year with her grand calf, believe it or not. So they all stay in these family units for quite a while. The females do anyway. Now, the one really important thing I want to talk about with dolphins, and again, I could do a whole hour on just dolphins, so maybe that'll be down the road, but that these guys are an indicator species, okay? So they can indicate the health of the environment, okay, for a couple different reasons. They are at the top of the food chain. They are the apex predator of Sarasota Bay and many of the environments that they live in, okay? So if you have a healthy population of apex predators, you know that there's a nice healthy balance in that ecosystem. But another thing that bottlenose dolphins do, and all marine mammals, is they actually store toxins in their fat or their blubber that we're going to talk about in a minute, okay? So if they are eating contaminated fish, maybe a fish that has red tide or a fish that swam through an oil spill or something like that, that's actually going to build up in their body, okay? That is called bioaccumulation. When something at the bottom of the food chain eats something that's poisoned or polluted, and then it moves up the food chain, every animal that eats it, that toxin accumulates and accumulates. And then the bottlenose dolphins, they get all of it. Now, what's sad is that the mothers will actually pass all the contaminants to their babies, to their calves, okay? So bottlenose dolphins, marine mammals, they do that parental care, right? We already know that about mammals. Marine mammals are no different, okay? Imagine what happens when a first-time mother or passes all those toxins to her baby, and then if it's too much, the baby can't handle it and the baby won't survive. So after the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2005, I think is when that was, unfortunately there was a whole generation of dolphins that didn't quite make it because all of those contaminants were passed on to the babies. So just another major reason why we want to keep our ocean clean, right? Okay, well, so quick and dirty intro into the mammals of Sarasota Bay and some of the ones that we can find out in the Gulf. What I want to talk about now, guys, is how they manage to live in the ocean, because this is just wild to me. I mean, think about it. They have the same characteristics as us. They breathe air, okay? They have to feed their babies milk. Has anybody ever tried to drink milk underwater in a pool? I mean, how do you do it, right? So I want to know, how do they do it? How do they do it? How do they live in the ocean but share the characteristics with us? It's all about those adaptations, right? And the way that they have evolved and adapted over all these years to be suited for their environment. So we're going to go through a couple of those adaptations now. So the first one, of course, is their unique body shape, okay? They do have a backbone like us, but they're basically flattened out, right? So we have a very similar skeleton. We actually have a lot of the same bones, okay? But it's just like if we were laying flat, all right, or if the dolphin was standing up, okay, walking around. So we have a lot of the same bones, but these guys have these special adaptations. So I want to show you, if you were to take an x-ray of the pectoral fin, which are the side fins, okay, or pectoral flipper, you would actually see some of the same bones that we have in our hands, okay? So these are called phalanges. This is your radius and your ulna, your wrist bones, okay, your forearm bones, okay, a lot of the same things. But if you go back and you look at their tail, obviously we don't have a tail as humans, right? But their tail is much different than that of a shark or a fish, right? So everybody do me a favor, take your hands, put them like this. If you're a dolphin, a whale, okay, a manatee, when you swim up and down, okay? And that is because of the muscle that is required right here. This part of the body is called the caudal peduncle. It's one of my favorite science words, okay? And that is just full of muscle. Why do you guys think a dolphin, okay, so not as much with manatees, but a dolphin or a whale, why do you think they need all this muscle right there? To jump and dive, absolutely. So our sharks typically aren't jumping. They're typically not using their tail to dive. So this unique torpedo shape, also known as a fusiform shape, tapered at both ends, okay, is really perfect for the environment in the ocean, okay? They are big, right? They're big. Now they're big because they can be, but that really helps them survive against predators, right? So a lot of scientists believe that because the megalodon went extinct, that's why these big great whales were able to get so big, okay? Because they could outmaneuver the great white sharks, okay? And they were able to evolve into these big, massive creatures. This guy right here is the blue whale. This is the biggest animal to have ever existed. This guy is a big, pun intended, deal, okay? They can reach the size of 3 school buses, 120, I get like chills talking about it, I'm such a dork. They can get 3 school buses long, it's 120 feet. Their heart is the size of a car, and their veins and arteries are large enough that we could swim down them. Wow, okay, they are big. They're not the only big ones though. So I have a couple of bones to show you. Oh man, this is my Fred Flintstone bone. So this is a rib from, I believe, a humpback whale. Okay, these bones were donated to us, and we got some our permits for them. We don't know exactly what they're from, but we're thinking that they are from a humpback whale. So this is a rib of a humpback whale or a large baleen whale. And then over here, oh, check this out, is the vertebrae. So this is one piece of the backbone. I mean, look at that right there. That's where the spinal cord goes. I mean, that is a big bone, okay? So they are big. Now, let's see if I can put this back here without it falling. I can see it totally falling during this class. You guys laughing at me, it would be a whole awkward thing. So they're big. I love it. Now, that is one reason why it's so hard on these marine mammals if they strand on land, okay? Yes, they breathe air, but their skin does need to stay moist and wet. But they are so big that the weight of their body can actually crush them, the weight of their bones, okay? So think about if you've ever gone swimming, and you know how you're just much less dense in water, okay? And you can float, you can pick up each other, you can pick up your parents and carry them around in the pool. They seem so much lighter, okay? Same kind of thing, right? So they would not be able to survive on land for very long. Okay. Back to the screen. All right, do it one more time for me just for good measure. In through the nose, out through the nose. Voluntary breathing. That's what we just did, okay? We thought about it and we did it. We don't typically do that as terrestrial mammals, right? We don't have to think about it, unless maybe we're sick and we're kind of stopped up, but we're just breathing. It's involuntary. It's like our heart beating. Marine mammals are not the same thing. What would happen if they breathed the same way that we did? Yeah, they wouldn't survive, right? They would get water into their lungs and they would drown just like us. So they have what's called voluntary breathing. So this side on the left here, this is a sperm whale, okay? You can see his blowhole here. Their blowhole is kind of to the left, and that's how scientists can tell if it's a sperm whale out in the field. They can even tell if the sperm whale is coming towards you or going the other way, which is kind of neat. And then on the right, you've got what's called a nares or nares, which are like nostrils. And this is from the manatee, okay? So when they're underwater, their nares or their blowhole are closed. When they have to breathe, they have to think about it, come up to the surface, open up their blowhole, take a nice big deep breath, and then go on about their business, right? So imagine if we had to do that. So you're sitting here, you're watching me blabber away, and then all you're like, oh, wait a second, I got to run outside, take a breath, I'll be right back, and come back in. It would be very annoying. I don't like to hold my breath at all, so that doesn't sound appealing to me. But if you look here, I'll show you. I'm not gonna not share my screen for a second, but if you look, this is where the blowhole goes. So this is a porpoise skull, okay? So a little bit different from our dolphin. These porpoises are much smaller. Their teeth are a little bit different shaped, but they still have that blowhole there. Now what's really cool, if you guys see, is it's similar to our nose. It even has the septum, which is the thing that divides your nostrils, okay? So if you guys just take your nose, wiggle it, pop it off your head, put it on top, now you got a blowhole, you're good to go. You don't have to get out of the water to breathe. Voluntary breathing. Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry guys, let me go back and show you. I didn't know you guys couldn't see me. 1 second, please. Okay. Thank you, Miss Lauren. So this is what I was showing you. So this is the porpoise skull. Okay. So again, a little bit different from the dolphin, a little bit different shaped teeth. They have these spade teeth, but they have this blowhole right here. Okay. So that is that little dangly thing I was talking about, the septum. So if you take it, pop it off your nose, off your head, put it on top, now you got a blowhole. There you go. Sorry about that, guys. All right. Back to the screen. Okay. So the last couple things we're going to do, I do have a couple activities that we're going to do together about some of these unique adaptations, okay? So temperature control is one of the big ones, okay? Especially regulating their heat and making themselves warmer, okay? Heat is lost 5 times faster in water than it is on land, okay? So that means if it's 78 degrees on land and it's 78 degrees in the water, and your friend is in the water and you're on land, your friend is gonna eventually get cold, okay? 5 times faster, okay? Heat is transferred, okay? So these guys have to deal with a lot. Now, one thing they do is migration, okay? So basically, moving to warmer waters, okay, when they need to, okay? So on the left are the humpback whales, okay? They have the longest migration of any mammal in the world, okay? It's over 1,000 miles. And they are going to warmer waters to have their calves, okay? And then they go back up to colder waters to feed. The manatees on the left, now these guys, they migrate in the winters, like we talked about earlier, to the warmer waters, okay? So they're usually going to like power plants or something like that that has warm water that's coming out into a reservoir, or they might go up into a freshwater spring or something. But I'm sure you guys have heard of blubber, right? So blubber is that sort of like fat that really helps to keep them warm. Now, if you guys look at this on the left, that is a bowhead whale. That's the same whale that has the baleen I was just showing you. They live in the Arctic. They have over a foot of blubber, okay? So depending on where how much blubber they have is going to depend on how much they need to migrate or where they're going to live. So we're going to do a little blubber experiment. Okay, so if you guys got the pre-lesson activity, what you need a container with ice cold water. Okay, I promise you this is really cold. All my ice melted, but you need 2 rubber gloves. Okay, so I'm going to put the rubber gloves on now. And you need something to represent fat, okay? Now Crisco, which is vegetable shortening, works really well. But really any solid type fat will work. And so I'm going to use coconut oil, okay? So what I want you guys to do, I'm going to make a blubber mitt. I'm going to take my plastic bag and I'm going to fill it full of coconut oil. Now again, guys, depending on how cold of a temperature you want to be able to tolerate is how much blubber that you need, okay? So an animal like a bottlenose dolphin that lives out here in our bay, they have about 1 inch worth of blubber. It's warm enough here in Sarasota Bay that they do not have to migrate. Manatees hardly have any blubber at all, okay? They are just big boned. They're not chubby. A lot of people think a manatee's chubby, but they do have to migrate because they cannot tolerate those colder temperatures. Okay, so you guys want to fill up your blubber mitt as much as possible, okay? And then your left hand is going to represent manatees with hardly any blubber, and this hand is going to represent dolphin with 1 inch of blubber. So what do you guys think we're going to do? Oh, you know it. Go ahead and stick your hand down in there. Oh, yes. And just kind of get it all on there. Ooh, I love it. Now, if you want to make a permanent blubber mitt, what you can do is put 2 plastic bags and then tape them together. But for today, we're just going to do this. All right. So get it in there. If you have a rubber band or something, you want to put it around there. And then you just want to test it out, okay? So let's see. I'm going to take this. I'm going to put it in my cold water. Actually, I'm going to do the manatee first. Oh, no, I don't like that. That's cold. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to take the blubber mitt. Oh, yes, my blubber is starting to melt a little. Let's take it in here. Not too bad at all. I believe I could hang out for a while. Maybe watch a TV show. I don't know, have a little snack or something. I feel like this blubber is helping me, right? Yeah. All right, I'm gonna take this off. Let's see, hopefully I don't make a huge mess. And I'm gonna stick my freezing cold water to the side. The blubber mitt. How many of you guys did it? If you didn't get to do it with me today, definitely go back and try it because it's really amazing. You can really see how that blubber helps. Okay. Just a few more minutes, guys. We have one more activity. Now these thermal windows, that's how they keep cool, okay? So guys, think about when you are really exercising a lot or you're really hot, how red your face gets. That's because our face is a thermal window. That's where we release heat. Dolphins have thermal windows on their bellies. So if you ever see a dolphin belly that's really pink, not to be confused with the pink dolphins, but that might mean that they're hot, that they're releasing some of that energy or some of that heat. Another adaptation they have, guys, for their babies, because again, imagine drinking water underwater or drinking milk underwater, is their milk is really, really fatty, so they don't have to feed them as much. If you are a baby humpback whale, you would have to drink 100 gallons of milk a day if you were to drink cow's milk, because cow's milk is about 2% fat a marine mammal is about 50% fat. It's like the consistency of cottage cheese. And they kind of shoot it into their baby's mouth like a squirt gun, which is kind of wild. So if you look on the left, this is a manatee. They stay with their moms for about a year, and they nurse. Their mammary glands are located right under their pectoral fin. So it always looks like they're sniffing their mom's armpit, and it is just the cutest thing. I love it. Dolphin calves, this is a dolphin calf on the right. They stay with their moms up to 5 years. So parental care is very important in marine mammals, so they can learn. But if you look at my dolphin calf here, you'll notice he has lines. These are called fetal folds. This lets us know this calf is only a couple of hours old because it was all scrunched up in its mom's belly. And when it was born, it still had those lines. The couple last things we'll talk about are their feeding strategies. And this is my absolute favorite animal in the whole world. This is the sperm whale. They have the largest brain in the animal kingdom. They are the largest predator in the animal kingdom. And they make the loudest sound in the animal kingdom. So what I'm playing for you now is something called a sperm whale coda, which are special clicks that they use to stun their prey. These guys are also the deepest divers of our mammals. Okay, anybody know what sort of prey they are trying to stun in the deep ocean? Yeah, the giant squid is their favorite. So their sound is so loud that it will actually stun the giant squid. Of course, echolocation, if you've heard of echolocation before, basically what happens, this is a beluga whale. All of our toothed whales are the ones that echolocate. Our baleen whales are not echolocating. And what they're doing, they're sending out clicks from their melon, is what this is called. It's finding the fish, it's bouncing off the fish, and then coming back, and believe it or not, the sound is actually going into their jawbone, which then goes up to their brain and gives them a whole mental image of whatever they are echolocating on. Okay, so this is how they can hunt in a low light, or if they can't use their other senses, they're going to be able to echolocate. Now, many of our marine mammals do teamwork where they are actually helping each other out. Now, guys, for the sake of time, I'm not going to show this particular video, but basically this is a dolphin that's going around and he's making a net out of mud, okay? Trapping fish, and then all of his friends can come in and get that, okay? They do that a lot. They help each other. They cooperatively hunt. Okay. So now we're going to do an activity all about baleen. Now, this one that you're looking here is called, these guys are right whales, and they are critically endangered. You can see their baleen plates hanging down. The way that the right whale and the bowhead whale eats, okay, so the bowhead whale is the one that has that long hanging baleen. The way that they eat is by just opening their mouth and cruising through the water, okay? And everything, krill or whatever, will get in there, and they'll take their tongue and they'll lick it off. Now these guys are called rorqual whales, okay? Now the rorqual whale, I'm gonna just mute it because we don't really need the sound. So the rorqual whales are the big great whales. They have these grooves under their chin, and when they find a big yummy patch of krill, what they're going to do, let me take off this ad, sorry guys, is they're going to open up their mouth, they're going to take a big gulp of the krill, and they're going to spit out all of the water and then eat the krill, okay? So again, they're cruising along, they find a big patch of krill, they open their mouth, they open those baleen plates, and then they take a big mouthful, push the water out, and keep the krill. So what do you guys think? How well do you think that you could eat like a rorqual whale. Say that 3 times fast. Rorqual, rorqual. It's really hard for me to say. Let's try it. Okay. So we're going to try to eat like a baleen whale. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some water into my clear container. Got your sprinkles. And I'm just going to add sprinkles to my water. So we've got the ocean, and my sprinkles are representing the krill. Now, if you're a non-rorqual whale, basically your baleen plates act like a cone. And as you are filtering around, it's pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory, right? The water goes through and the plankton doesn't, okay? So pretty easy. Now, so they're just kind of constantly eating all day. Now the rorqual whales, a little bit different, okay? So if you have someone there with you and you want to participate in the amazing krill race, please do so. What you want to do, little cup of water. You're going to put your krill in. All right, so I got some krill, just sprinkles, in my little cup of water, okay? You have your bin, and again, if you have someone that you can compete against. So you're swimming along, you see a big, yummy patch of krill. What you have to do, take a drink, you gotta eat the krill, and you gotta get rid of the water. You gotta filter it through your teeth. Okay, ready? So let's all do it. If you're ready, we're gonna do it on the count of 3, and we're gonna see who can filter their water out and eat the krill the fastest. But please don't choke, okay? And also please don't spit on any of your fellow whales, okay? 1, 2, 3. That's really hard. Pretending like my teeth are krill. I'm afraid I'm gonna spit on the computer. Wow, I haven't done this myself in forever. Usually it's the students. It's much harder than I thought. So I still got a bunch of krill left, but anyway, you guys get the point, right? Get rid of the water, keep the krill. Good job. Okay. And the last adaptation that I want to talk to you guys about before we end for the day is their cognitive abilities, okay? So they have really large brains. They're able to utilize tools. They have memory, and they are also self-aware. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play this quick video for you that just shows you how smart these dolphins are, and whales and manatees. I mean, their cognitive abilities is pretty incredible. Whoops, sorry guys. Oh, you guys know what happens when you try to rush, right? You always mess everything up.
Diana places a one-way mirror inside the observation window to test the dolphin.
So now we're looking through a window, and they'll be seeing a mirror.
Dolphins don't behave like this, staying in one place and staring, if they simply meet another dolphin. This suggests they understand that what they're seeing isn't another animal, but a reflection of themselves. One action never normally seen.
Oh my gosh, you guys. So anyway, I'm not going to keep playing that, but definitely go and check it out. It's a BBC Earth video. I will actually share this presentation on our Flipgrid, so it will have everything available. So if you want to go back and watch this presentation again, please do. Again, I'm trying to work on my timing here, but this is just showing that they're self-aware and that they know themselves when they look in a mirror, which is pretty incredible. Last thing, guys, are all the threats that they do face. Unfortunately, climate change, overfishing, entanglement. A lot of our animals get caught in crab traps and lobster traps. A lot of them are getting hit by boats. They're eating marine debris. They are being harassed, whether it's people feeding them or trying to touch them or whatever it may be. So in order for us to combat these threats, we have some specific things that we can do to help, okay? So really just living that environmentally friendly life, reducing your energy use, obeying all those protection laws, all these different things. Whenever you travel, practice responsible ecotourism. If it's a swim with the dolphins program that you get a bad feeling about, then don't do it, okay? So again, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to share this PowerPoint on the Flipgrid so you can go and check it out, since I kind of had to rush at the end a little bit. Please go to our Google Classroom. We've got tons of fun stuff there for you and the family. And please join me next week for our At Home with Seagrass program, where we're really going to learn about how scientists study this sort of magical secret garden. It is the giving challenge right now. There's 1 more hour left. So if you're feeling the need to donate and be generous, all the donations are matched. So there's 1 hour left of that. So guys, thank you so much for joining me again. I'm totally working on trying to get my time frame down. I was supposed to be done 10 minutes ago, so my bad. But thank you all for joining. Go back, check out that Flipgrid for the presentation, and I will see you all next week. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.